Bruce Gas, boxing, jazz, and more. We'll be back in 1 second. Hang loose.
Oh boy. Hey, where you at? Yeah, I've been here harassing boys out here telling favors. I'm the hardest young nigga, I ain't signed to no label. Hey, Bruce Gas putting them fights on the table. Calling that boxer since Kane versus Abel. Smoking so much gas, you would think that shit was fatal. On the people's champion like Muhammad Ali. Shout out Bruce Gas, one day we gon' meet. Yeah, we gon' blow it down, we gon' smoke hella weed. Yeah, we gon' blow it down, take a hit out the Toka 2. Slipping hella shots, feel like Tyson with the people. Little Glock on my side, but it hit just like Isaac Cruz. Shout out man, Chad, real shit, that's my fucking dude. We always cooking on the panel. Strapped to my side, I ain't talking about no sandwich. Bruce passed me the blunt, I'ma light it like a candle. Ayy, non-stop bars, man, I always spit flames. Feel like Bruce Gas always got a different strain. Bitch, you ain't like me, you can never feel my pain. You win and you lose, well, this a fight game. Don't beef on the net and the shit won't change. Said that on the stream, gotta do it for the game. Said that on the stream, gotta do it for the chat. I ain't undisputed. Yeah, hold on, I ain't undisputed, but I want all the straps.
Good evening. Bruce Gas, boxing, jazz, and more. Very fortunate tonight. I have an amazing man in boxing. His name is the Iceman John Scully. And what's even more amazing is, man, my old friend George Jackovic from day one has blessed us with his return. So I'm not gonna bend your ear with any of my nonsense, man. I'm gonna bring them all up here, man. I'm gonna bring George up here. I'm gonna bring the Iceman John Scully up here, man.
Oh, there he is.
What's happening?
How we doing, man? How we doing, man?
All good. Everything's good. How you guys doing?
Oh, bro, it's a pleasure to have you here, John. Man, I was reminiscing. I put the photo up there. I looked at my camera and I said, yeah, we took a picture together down there, man. And
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
and, Vinny Paz in the back there, man.
Right. Yep, that's it. Yeah, that was good. That was a really good night.
All right, man. And I got my brother George Jackovic up here, man. George hasn't been around in a long time. I thought he abandoned ship on me. I thought he was I thought he might have got hired again at HBO or maybe.
Yeah, imagine that. No, it's always good to talk boxing. Then you get the Iceman. Come on, if you get a chance to talk to you, Bruce, and John the Iceman Scully. Come on, this is a perfect Monday night.
How cool is that, man? How cool is that? So anyway, John, in case there's anybody out there who doesn't know who you are, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, brother?
Well, I was a guy. I boxed as an amateur from the time I was 12 years old until I was 21 when I turned pro. I had a good amateur career. I fought some of the best in the world: Darren Allen, Otis Grant, Lamar Parks, plenty of top guys, and almost made the Olympic team. I came within a couple fights of making the team, 2 fights. And then I turned pro, had fought as a middleweight, super middleweight, light heavyweight. My best weight was probably super middleweight looking back, but I fought for the world title at light heavyweight against Henry Mosky, lost a decision to Henry. I fought on TV, I think 15 times, maybe 16 times. I fought some good guys, beat some, lost to some, and but then now I'm a trainer. I've trained a few champions and a few good fighters and a few regular guys, just regular local guys. Right now, I'm an assistant trainer for Artur, the light heavyweight champion of the world, and we're actually getting ready to go to training camp very, very soon for his fight with Callum Smith, which is going to be in Quebec City in the middle of August.
That's going to be interesting, man. And let me shout out who came into the building, man, because I want to thank them a lot. Otherwise, it'd be just three of us in a bar sitting around saying who's going to pick up the tab over here, man. So I want to shout out Jose Diaz and came in here. My brother Skywalker, boxing MMA. Maurice is in here, and Punch is in here, and George Jackovic is in here, man. How much cooler can that be? But John, you had this event going on this year, Kyle Hansen Salute, coming on in a couple of weeks in Times Square.
Right.
And that blew my mind. And shout out my brother Q, the God out there, the lost art of boxing. You know, things like that, man. That's like a gathering of all the apostles, or
of greatness, a gathering of greatness.
Well, you know what's funny is every time I go to, I've done a lot of reunions. I do these reunions. I get guys together, amateur boxing reunions mostly. I've done them in Los Angeles, Las Vegas. I've done them in Foxwoods Casino, Mohegan Sun. I've done them in New York City. I've done them Detroit, Michigan. I've done them all over. But every time I go to New York City, I just always, I'm a dreamer. I amuse myself sometimes, and I'm always thinking. Every time I'm in Times Square, I'm saying, man, what if we all just showed up here one day and just took over that Times Square, and people would be like, hey, that's Riddick Bowe, and hey, that's so-and-so. And I've always had a dream to do that. And so last time I was hanging out with the guys, and I said, you know what? Warm weather's coming. I love New York anyway. I'm going to be going there for some things. So I say, why don't you guys just meet me there, and I'll invite everybody. And it just kind of took off, and people are calling me. They're telling me, hey, can I come? I said, listen, it's Times Square. Anybody can come. Fans can come. And I kind of opened this one. I said, look, there's nothing stopping you from going to Times Square. So you want to come. So I think we're going to have it's going to be an unusual day. Let's say that much.
Are you guys meeting anywhere in particular, or just
right on 7th and 43rd, where the bleachers are? You know, the orange bleachers?
Yep.
Right by the bleachers. I told everybody that's the thing they'll recognize the most. The orange bleachers in the middle of everything. I said, let's just go to the orange bleachers. We'll hang out. We'll walk across the street if we want a snack, and we'll take pictures, and fans will come, and we'll just hang out. And then at that night, whoever wants to go to Dallas Barbecue, which is right down the street. And then after that, the fights are at the Garden. But somebody told me the cheapest ticket's like $175. I mean, I don't know about that. I don't.
Not for that fight.
Maybe they can have the
I support boxing, but I'm not paying $175 for the worst seat in the house. You know.
Right.
So I told the guys, I said, look, they're actually doing an amateur event honoring Hector Camacho in the Bronx that night. I'm telling them, let's go to that. Let's go hang out. We'll support that. And then after, we'll end up at Dave Diamante's place. I guess it's a bar, maybe a restaurant. I'm not sure. I haven't been there yet. I guess he just opened it in the last year. But he's got it right on 8th Avenue by the Garden. So we're going to end up there. So it's going to be from the morning to the next morning. It's going to be a 24-hour type of day.
Mm.
And that list keeps growing of guys you have. Can you just give us a rundown of some of the fighters? And I know it's pretty long because every time I'm on Facebook, another one's added.
I mean, if everybody comes, these are, people are telling me they're coming. We've got Jerry Cooney, Ronaldo Snipes, Mitch Green, Tim Witherspoon, Daryl Coley. We've got Pito Cardona, Marlon Stalin, Junior Jones, Iran Barkley, Michael Olajide. Michael Olajide is actually going to reunite with Joey Balintz, who missed the 1984 Olympic team by one fight. He beat Pernell Whitaker, and then he got robbed against Pernell in the box-off to go to the Olympics. It should have been Joey Balintz and not Pernell that went to the LA Games. But him and Mike fought each other in 1980, and they haven't seen each other since. So Joey's coming all the way from Washington State just to come and see the Silk. So they're going to meet up, and so it's just going to be a crazy thing where we're going to just see people we fought. And I've invited a couple guys that I fought. Matter of fact, Joe Lipsy, who was a tremendous amateur, and he fought Bernard for the title, and he fought Derek Rolone as a pro, and Derek Rolone is actually going to be there as well. But I lost to Joe in the 1988 U.S. Championships, and I've only seen him one time since. So he's coming with his wife, and so I mean I can't even think of all the guys that are coming, but there's a lot of them. There's a lot.
Man, that's gonna be so cool. And you cats have a hotel that you're gonna stay in, or is it just gonna be?
Everybody's just kind of doing their own thing. I just told everybody, look, I don't know what your budget is. There's hotels in every direction. Like I found one. I don't even know the name of it. It's like a couple blocks from Times Square. It was like $220 a night. But you got to do what you got to do. But everybody's just kind of doing their own thing, and I don't anticipate they're going to stay in the room very much. We're just going to be out and about the whole time.
I'll tell you, I was talking to the wife tonight, man. I said we could take a bus from Providence so we can get to New York City.
Yeah, Ronaldo Snipes. I don't know if I said it, but Ronaldo Snipes is coming.
Man.
So as far as 1980s, you have heavyweights: Jerry Cooney, Ronaldo Snipes, Mitch Green, Tim Witherspoon. Just those four by themselves. And you've got. There's a kid, I don't know if you know Joey Dojeko from Philadelphia, heavyweight. He's coming in. I'm trying to get like Charles Brewer. I'm trying to get. I'm inviting everybody. Everybody's coming. Yeah,
that's gonna be cool. I spoke with Leon Mohammed tonight. He said to give you a thumbs up, bro.
Yeah. Leon's cool. Yeah.
Leon's a cool guy. I must talk to Leon two or three times a week. And
okay, well, he should be there for sure.
Oh yeah.
I gotta let him know. Billy Giles and all those guys, they should be there as well.
Oh, this is a once in a lifetime event, and
well, that's the thing. I don't want to. It sounds funny coming from me, but I don't think this has ever been done before.
No.
This is we're like the wedding
for all.
We're crashing the party. We're crashing our own party. We're just taking it over. And like I say, it's just, I'm glad there's people who think like me, because I'm the type, I'm like, let's just take over Times Square.
John,
guys gonna do it.
John, to be honest, I wish more people thought like you, because Bruce knows the things that you do for fighters that are in need. And you and I have talked about this so many times. You just have this passion for fighters, and you don't have to have it. You don't have to do the things that you do. And I know you don't do it to boost yourself up.
No. Listen, I like seeing these guys.
That's my point. That's my point. You have a passion for this.
Yeah, man, I love, look at, I'm going to love seeing Michael Alajide and Joey Balintz see each other for the first time. Like, that's going to be cool. That's going to be really cool. And like I say, I've got guys I've invited, guys that I fought years ago, that I haven't seen since 30 years. And also, the big thing is my belt. I don't know if you know about the WBC belt that I had all these guys sign.
Yep.
Artur Beterbiev, Matthew Hilton. I mean, I got some phenomenal names. Well, the guy who bought it, I told him, I said, look, let me hang on to it.
Yep,
you come to Times Square, and I'll give it to you in front of everybody. Well, and you're going to have 100 bodyguards, so we're not going to have to worry about anybody taking it. And, so he's coming. His name's Brian Dumas. He's from Rhode Island. He was a fighter as well. And so he's coming, so I'm going to give him the belt right there in front of everybody. And then I'm going to walk over to the post office box, and I'm going to drop in probably 6 checks to different fighters around the country that need it. So it's going to be that's going to be cool.
Oh yeah, man, that's definitely so cool. And shout out to Iceman who's in the air, man. and Two Matador. I appreciate you guys, Maurice. Thank you, cats, for coming by, man. I'm talking to the multi-talented boxing aficionado over here, Iceman John Scully. And, I mean, we're talking, John is also a historian. That's one thing that blew my mind. One of the first times I've ever put a microphone on and went on, Black Star had a program. It was on a Sunday morning. He was doing a live. And I didn't know HBO from YouTube, from, whatever it was. He said, "Come on here. I got this dude that talks boxing," and I didn't even know who you were, but I'm listening to you, and when I first came on, I thought I knew it all. I thought this is beneath me. This is a bunch of kids who never had a Ring magazine in their hands. They're on their phones all day, and bro, and you started talking to me. I'm saying, oh, this guy knows his shit. We were talking Larry Holmes, though, and we were talking the Mike Tyson era, going through the Don King tournament. And you not only knew what was going on, but you had some backstage information that you were laying on us here, man.
Right, yeah.
And it's ever since then I've seen you on other programs, and then I met you up in Pennsylvania. But man, it's an honor to have you on here, bro. It truly is. And I mean, there's so many things that we can get into. The history of boxing. How did you get into your love for being a historian? Because you are a true historian, brother.
Well, the funny thing is, I never considered myself a historian. I just remember stuff. So people ask me stuff, and I remember it. So I didn't set out to be a historian, but I kind of don't forget things. But the seed was planted. I'll tell you, my father was a huge boxing fan, and he had, the backstory. My mother and father were divorced, so I would stay with my father on the weekends. He was older. He was 40, I think 43 when he had me. So he was older. He wasn't playing baseball with me. He wasn't that type of guy. He was an old school father. So I was on my own a lot. I would stay with him on the weekends, and I would amuse myself, and I would box and play baseball and all this stuff. But he had books. He had a book collection, and he had 4 books. And the first 4 books I read in my life was The Greatest by Muhammad Ali. It was Friday's Heroes by Willie Pep. It was Sugar Ray by Sugar Ray Robinson, and the 1952 Ring record book. 1952. I would read the records over and over and over. So I knew all the names, like Artie Levine and Bo Jack and all these names. So I always wanted to be in the book. So I would box against myself. I would pretend I was Muhammad Ali, and I would box like Jimmy Young or whatever. And I would score the fight, and I would score the rounds and everything. But I would write my record out just like Ring record book. And I mean, I'm talking, I was doing this in high school. I was in high school. I was in 11th grade in typing class, and I couldn't type for beans. I was horrible. I used one finger, 2 hands, 1 finger each hand. And I would write my record out, my amateur boxing record at that time. And, you put the date, the name, the site, and the result. You put ... the result. So I would do that with my record to make it look like the Ring record book that my father had me reading when I was 10 years old. So that's how I know a lot of the stuff, just from that. But a lot of it, I think, is just kind of, I know stuff by mistake, by accident. I tell you, I don't know, George. I don't know if I told you this story, but it's funny. About 4 years ago, Russ Amber, if you know Russ Amber from Rival Products, and he's a cut man for a lot of people. Yep. So he was at a weigh-in in Las Vegas, and he goes, "Scully, listen, I'm here at the weigh-in. I think it was a Deontay Wilder fight." And he goes, "Do you remember David Sample?" I go, "Yeah, the lightweight out of Vegas." He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Listen, you were amateur with him, I guess. He fought at the 1988 National Golden Gloves, and you were there. He can't remember who he fought." So I say, "What weight was he?" He says 132. I can hear him in the background, 132. I said, "Where was the guy from that you lost to?" He says, "Michigan." In 0.2 seconds, I said, Kevin Childry. And I could hear him in the background going, yes, it was Kevin Childry. And Russ knows me, and Russ goes, thank you, Scully. Talk to you later. And he hung up, and that was the end of it. So I don't know how I knew it, but it just popped instantly into my head.
Wow. You know, I wanted to jump around a little bit since Bruce is taking a break. I know Artur, you said he's getting ready to go into training camp, right?
Yeah, well, he's always in shape.
I know he's always in shape. I've seen his workouts.
Camp is starting, yeah.
What do you think about that fight? Because I saw some quotes. I don't know if it was from you, but you guys have a lot of respect for Callum Smith.
For sure.
What kind of fight are you expecting from him?
You know, he's a big guy. You know, he's only got one loss to Canelo. You know, and Canelo was really hot at the time. You know, he's tall. He can punch. You know, he creates style problems and the whole nine. So yeah, I'm. You know, Artur. And one good thing about Artur is that he is like subconsciously, even as a trainer, as a fighter, we always want to tell our guy, look, you got to be 100% ready. That's it. You know, you're fighting a beast. But deep in our hearts, we might know he's got a semi-easy fight, right? But with Artur, he does. If we told him this is going to be the easiest fight of your life, you don't even have to train, he wouldn't. He would fire us. Like he wouldn't take that. He's going to train like he's fighting Sugar Ray Robinson. He's training for the best, period. That's it. You never, ever, ever will have to worry about Artur being underprepared. Never.
How does a dude who's almost 40 years old seem to get better and better with every outing?
Well, I'll tell you this, and I've said this many times over the last couple of years. I noticed it in the gym and with his fights. He's the only guy in Hopkins. Hopkins maintained his greatness at that age, right? But to me, Artur has actually gotten better as a pro. He's gotten better over the last 2 years, and he was already a force. But I'll say my belief with him is he is the most dedicated fighter I've ever seen, not just in terms of training, not just in terms of preserving his body, taking care of his body, but also, and you don't see this often, he's a guy at the height of his game. He's a star, he's this, he's that, but he will still, if we work on something, say I show him a move or something, right? He will work on it like it's his first day in the gym as a kid, and he wants to know everything about the foot position and the weight distribution and why we're doing this, and let's practice it 100 times a day until we get it. And he's still that guy. And I think very few people, they can say they are, but I don't see it. Very few people are like that. They don't maintain that. Most of your top fighters, I don't care what they say, because I've seen it in person. They can say they're doing this or doing that. Most of these guys, they go to camp and they do the same stuff they're good at. They do the same stuff they've always done. They do what got them there. Artur is not that guy. He tells me all the time, even at his age, he tells me, I want to get better. I want to be a better fighter. I want to be it's like a running joke. He goes, I want to be a good boxer.
Yeah.
You probably saw that on HBO. I think they had it or whatever it was. He said, I want to be a good boxer. And I don't think I am a good boxer yet. And so as long as he holds that mentality, he's going to get better for the rest of his life. He's going to keep getting better.
Is that body going to hold up, though, man? I mean, 40 years old, the top light heavyweight in the world, that's abnormal.
Right.
That's
freaky. Here's the thing. There's a thing with him and Hopkins, and it's no coincidence that they both are. Hopkins was champ, I think, at 50. He went all the way up 10 more years. Artur's 38. This Hopkins did 12 more years.
Yeah.
Artur absolutely could do that because his dedication to his religion, right? He's a Muslim. His dedication to his religion is is unparalleled. Like when we go to fights, we find a halal restaurant, a restaurant that has Muslim food. It's a special kind of food. That's all he's going to eat. He takes care of his body. He does it. I have always said, I guarantee you, I've never asked him, but I'm sure he's never been in a bar or a nightclub. Never. That's not him. He doesn't abuse his body whatsoever. And and for him, like I have a video, it's on my YouTube channel. I posted it a couple days when he fought Joe Smith. That was on a Saturday, right? Now think about this. He fights Joe Smith, a tough unification fight. Joe's a big puncher.
Yep.
Trains hard for the fight. The fight was Saturday. They flew home on Sunday to Montreal. He took Monday off to get a little rest. Tuesday morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, he's in the gym. He has this thing he does. He does a full workout, but he has this one thing he does that was filmed. He hits this tire. It's a truck tire on the wall. And he hits it for 8 rounds, 3 minutes around, with a sledgehammer in each hand. Left, right, left, right, left, right. He hits it for 3 minutes, rests for a minute, hits it for 3 more minutes, holds his arms above his head, pounding on this bag. He was doing that at 7 o'clock in the morning, 3 days after the Joe Smith fight.
That's incredible.
I don't care who you are. There's no one in this game doing that.
You're right.
They're not. I don't
You're
care.
right.
They're lying. They're lying if they tell you they are.
That's
and Scully
stuff,
Yimmy in the chat had a question that I want to ask. Yimmy says, is Bivol aging out Artur? He turned down the offer to fight Artur and is now talking about facing him next year. Look, if Bivol can face Canelo, I think that's easy money for him, but it seems like that might not happen. So what do you think about him aging out Artur?
There's no question that's what they're trying to do. They're all trying to do it. Like, Canelo, they're all, and look I don't blame them.
I don't either.
Like when I knew Canelo didn't want to fight Artur, it was very obvious for the last 3 or 4 years. It's been very obvious. And I've said, to his credit, I don't blame him for not wanting to fight Artur. Artur is huge compared to Canelo. I mean, if you remember at their face-off for the Triple G fight, Triple G made Canelo look small. Like, I remember being surprised how small Canelo was. Artur would make Triple G look small. Artur used to fight 201 as an amateur. He's got power of a heavyweight, and anyone who's boxed Artur will tell you that. Even cocky guys like Lonnie B, Lionel Thompson, like Lionel. I don't know if you know Lionel, but Lionel's a confident.
I do.
He's a very confident kid, right? And he's cocky and all. And he will tell you he does not want to box with Artur at all. And so I don't blame these guys. They are waiting for him to age out, but they're going to have to wait a long time because this man is superhuman in terms of his mentality. He does not drink alcohol. He would not drink alcohol. Doing a drug would be so insane. It just wouldn't happen. There's no chance. There's things you can bet on in life. And one of them is you will never hear of Artur Beterbiev drunk or high or failing a drug test. Cocaine, never. So he treats his body like he's supposed to. He goes home. He leaves the gym. We talk about boxing, right? We're all talking. He will hear us talking and he will laugh. And I don't talk boxing. And he go home. He goes home to his family. He wants to be home with his family. That's it. He doesn't hang out in the streets. He doesn't go to bars. He doesn't go to clubs. He just does not do it. So he's not your average 38-year-old. He doesn't look 38. When he's pouring it on 8th round, 9th round, he's getting stronger against, Marcus Brown was like, 28, I think he was.
Yep.
And Artur looked like the young man in that fight.
And being a millionaire too, that's going to be difficult. That's going to be difficult.
No.
Well, see, for me, it would be difficult. For most people,
you got to understand.
Different. I do.
I'm going to tell you something, and people need to understand. Like, since 9/11, right, with Islam and Muslims and the whole nine, a lot of people are still leery. They're scared of Muslims. They're I'm telling you,
Yeah, no, I
Artur
understand.
is one of the greatest people I know, and it's in large part because of his faith. He practices it the way it's supposed to be practiced. He is a decent guy. He trains unbelievably hard. He's so focused. I believe his devotion to his religion keeps him young. He lives the way it's supposed to be lived according to the Quran, as I understand it. He prays 5 times a day. I mean, we're in the gym. When I first saw this, I was doing pads with him, and all of a sudden he walked out of the ring. I thought the training was over, and he just didn't tell me. He walks out and he goes in the back, and I'm like, yo, what's going on? And one of the guys looked at the clock and he goes, oh, he went to pray. He'll be back in 3 minutes. And he came back. This man prays 5 times a day, no matter what. No matter what, he's getting it done. That's a mark, an indication of his mentality and his discipline and his dedication. He's got something that you would, as a trainer, you would wish every fighter would have, and he has it without you telling him to have it.
Now, being the historian that you are, man, how would he have fared against people like the Ezra Charles and Michael Spinks?
Right.
Mike
I mean,
Qualley,
when you're talking about the elite guys, right? That's tough fights. They're tough. They're tough for each other. But I will say this, and a lot of people instinctively are going to jump on me for this. They're going to be mad at me for saying this, right? But you have to think about it from a true boxing standpoint. Like, you think of the light heavyweights in the 70s, right? Galindez and Matthew Saad, right? Let me tell you something. Matthew Saad Muhammad is not taking those punches from Artur Beterbiev. There's no way. You're not taking those punches from that man over and over and over, and you're going to walk through them. Matthew Saad Muhammad was one of the toughest men in history. No one is that tough. You cannot take flush punches from Artur. It's just he's a different, people like, and I used to be this way when I was a kid. Like, and I've used this comparison. Like, say you talk about what's the best era for heavyweights, and everybody instinctively is going to say the 70s. Norton, Lyle, Jimmy Young, Ali, right? Okay, I understand. It was a great era. I get it. I believe it as well. But are you really going to tell me that Tyson Fury wouldn't beat Ron Lyle? I mean, come on, man. Like, this is crazy. I mean, Ron Lyle was a warrior and all that stuff, but Tyson Fury is like a foot taller, whatever he is. I mean, he's humongous compared to these guys. He would fit very well and people don't want to believe that because, they romanticize their era, but it's just a different era. Like Rocky Marciano. Come on, man. I love Rocky Marciano. He's a beast. He's 185 pounds.
Yep.
Stop the insanity. I mean, Tyson Fury would decimate Rocky Marciano. It wouldn't even be fair. It wouldn't even be funny. I mean, we're talking about 2 different mentalities. So the 70s, those light heavyweights were killers, but that's all because they were able to take each other's punches. You're not taking
Artur's just a freak. He just throws.
And look, and I know here's why I know this. Here's why I know this, because when I am in the gym with people, and not just Artur, but with anybody, Roy Jones, whoever, I ask the people who box him, what you think? I want to hear what they thought. And when you spar Artur, everybody tells me, man, it's crazy. Like, it's crazy how hard this man hits. He hits you in the head and your ankle starts shaking, stuff like that, and I've never heard a description like I hear about Artur. I've been in the game a long time and I don't hear it like that.
You have trouble getting sparring partners and keeping them?
Yes, we do. Yes.
Just thinking though, I'm not even saying who would win, but you brought up those light heavyweights from the 70s and 80s. Just thinking about Artur against Michael Spinks or Dwight Muhammad Qawi, the fights that could have been made. I mean,
right.
I'm not even thinking about who wins.
I hate fantasy fights too. I hate thinking. I hate arguing fantasy fights with people. But man, I think we're gonna have to wait to go up to heaven to see those fights. But oh man, they just.
I mean, you know what? I'm as real as they come, right? Michael Spinks is a problem. for Artur or anybody.
Boom.
He just is. Now Dwight Cowie, I don't know. I don't know if Artur can reach him. He's 5'8". Artur's reaching Dwight Cowie and he's catching him. And
with nitrogen bombs.
Right.
But I'm not even talking about like who's going to win. I'm just talking about, man, those fights, they would just all be incredible fights.
Well, you know what the question was?
Dwight Braxton and Artur, because Spinks would be a bit more technical, right? And Artur would be technical as well. But Braxton is going to push it. He's going to make it happen. I think him and Artur would be just, as long as it lasted, would be a phenomenal fight. A phenomenal, because Braxton, he's coming, and Artur wants you to. So it's there's some great fights, but we're fighting what we think is the best. Gvozdyk was supposed to be. A lot of people had Gvozdyk winning. That he was going to beat Artur.
Right.
But he's beaten the best of the era, but we're definitely looking. He wants to fight.
Everybody's talking about Bivol.
Right.
Everybody's talking about that. Is he foaming at the mouth to unify these belts to become undisputed? Because
for
that's
sure.
really what it's all about.
That's always been his goal, and I'll tell you, it's never been a person. It's never been Bivol. Artur never says Bivol, I want to fight.
Right.
He says, I want to unify. So in his mind, whoever's the champion is who he wants to unify with, whoever it happens to be. And I've said it many times. A lot of people don't believe me, or they don't really fathom it, but Arthur's not really a boxing fan. So
not at all.
And I'll tell you this much, and people would be, and I'm not being disrespectful at all, but I'm telling you, until he saw Joe Smith at the press conference, he didn't know who Joe Smith was. He never saw Joe Smith fight. He didn't know who he was. He didn't care. So he's not, that's one thing. Like, you can't phase Artur with, oh man, see the guy, he looked awesome on TV. He's like, no, I was with my family. I didn't watch that fight. He doesn't watch it. So he'll ask us, oh, is he good? Is he tall? What is he? Is he good? You tell me what to do. Like, you guys watch the fight, watch the tape, and then you tell me what to do. So it's kind of it's almost like a too good to be true situation. We have a guy who's, you don't have to have, a lot of trainers have problems with fighters. They don't run. They have to yell at them. We've never had to yell at Artur, like, ever.
Without naming the fighter, you said Artur listens to everything, and I'm not asking you to name the fighter, but what's the most like the craziest thing that you couldn't get a fighter to do when he was training for a fight?
Run. I've had guys. I
figured you would say that.
I mean, literally, guys. They're like, just like running. Having to. I'll tell you what. 11 years ago, I was in camp with a champion, and there was a few. There was a former champion there. There was a couple contenders, and there was another guy, a super hot prospect. And I will say, one of the best prospects I've ever seen in my life. Like, talent-wise, super elite in the world. Not just in my area. I'm talking about elite in the world, right? And he was so lazy and so just disinterested in hard training. We would get up and run every day. Chad was there, Winky Wright, different guys. And this guy, and I was older at the time. I wasn't even running. The only reason I ran is because I was part of the team, so I had to run. And I was beating this kid, and I'm telling him, come on, man, suck it up. Suck it up. You got a fight coming up. And the kid quit after a week of training camp. He went home. He couldn't handle it. And I knew from that moment on, I told someone, I said, forget him. He's not going to make it. He's a super talent. He's one of the most talented in the world. He's an elite talent. He does not have an elite mind. He's not going to make it.
Did he not make it in boxing?
He did not make it. No.
No surprise.
And you know, if I said his name, you'd absolutely know who he is.
Yeah, sure. and I didn't want to put you on the spot, but I know it's got to be frustrating.
I'll never betray the confidence. I'm not gonna say his name to anybody, but you absolutely know who he is.
But you had this code, and there used to be that code that what happens in sparring, what happens in the gym stays in the gym. Right. If a champion gets dropped, now you're seeing clips. It's a new era now. Like you see, Rolly Romero getting dropped in the gym, and it's just a new day now. There's none of that. It's not the same credo that it used to be when it comes to that.
You know what? I was just talking to somebody on YouTube. I'm arguing with these idiots on YouTube. Somebody put up a clip. I guess it went viral or whatever, of a guy getting hit with some. I mean, it was impressive. Like he got laser beamed with this combination of shots, and he got dropped. I don't even know who he was. And I'm commenting. I'm going, I say, whoever put this up is dirt. I go, this is not what we do. And the guy was like, oh, all you old time guys. I said, listen, man, that's the way it's been. That's the way it is. You only put it up because you were the victor. You wouldn't put that up if it was you getting ruined. But I'll tell you what happened. And everybody knows, I don't tell Jim secrets, but everybody knows this. It was widely reported. Training for the Andre Ward fight, Chad got dropped by Edison Miranda. And I got phone calls within one day. I'm getting phone calls from Mike Hoppinger, and Mike I didn't even know who he was at the time, but they're calling me. Oh, did Chad get dropped? I'm like, no. What do you mean? Who told you that? And they wouldn't tell me, and I found out who it was. It was a guy in the camp, and he went out almost immediately because supposedly he goes, oh, the punch that he dropped Chad with, I taught him that a couple of days ago. I taught him how to time it. And so he wanted to brag about that and at our expense. Like he allowed everybody to know that Chad got caught and dropped. And this was a high level boxing guy. You would know this guy. You would know absolutely who he is. And I was shocked that somebody who's been in the game way longer than I've been in the game. I was shocked somebody would do that, but just for his own ego, he had to tell everybody that he taught the guy Edison the punch that dropped Chad. He taught him that, and so he exposed everything. And Andre Ward knew we got dropped, and all that stuff. So I was very, very surprised at that from an old school guy.
So it's a new day. Yeah, it's a social media era, and there's some good with it, but there's a lot of bad with it too.
Right. Yeah. We have to maintain the ethics. We have to maintain the code. You can't do that. You can't go and tell, because if you do that, then, because I see these coaches, younger coaches, they're always like, oh, whenever they tell me, oh yeah, my kid Joey, he dropped that kid 3 times the other day in the gym. I said, man, don't tell me that. Like, you shouldn't be telling me that. I shouldn't know that, because you're not going to tell me that when it's your kid getting dropped. You're not going to say a word. So don't tell me.
You remember when Greg Page dropped Mike Tyson in Tokyo?
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of made people say, what? This was when Mike Tyson was bulletproof. And
but
they aired that.
That didn't come out till after the fight.
No, John. You know what? It came out during the Tyson Douglas fight when Tyson was starting to get really hammered, like midway through the fight. They dropped that clip in mid-fight.
Oh, right. So I mean, they didn't make a big deal about it before,
Right. It wasn't until
we're in a different era right now. We're in that. Everybody's got a phone on them. Everybody's got a YouTube channel. You go to the bathroom in New York, and you're gonna know about it in San Francisco.
I'm gonna tell you what I saw. There was a video, and they thought they were doing something cool, but to me, it made them look very ignorant. When Jake Paul was in a training camp sparring with some guy who didn't even box. I guess the guy challenged Jake or whatever, and maybe he boxed a little bit. I don't know, but they were boxing, and everybody was there. All Jake's coaches and everything. And Jake is beating the kid up, and you can see the guy's totally outgunned. And then at one point, the guy turned his back, and Jake is hitting him. And nobody on Jake's team stepped in. Nobody stopped it. Nobody helped the guy. And I'm saying, man, that's like a schoolyard. That's a bunch of seventh graders organizing a fight after school. You know what I mean? You know, do you think Eddie Futch, do you think Ray Arcel, do you think Angelo Dundee, that would have happened if they were there? I mean, not a chance. It would be zero. There's no chance that would happen. But that told me what we're dealing with. We're dealing with this social media, YouTube era, and it's embarrassing that they allowed that. They thought it was making them look good, but it looked foolish.
John, people want to know about some of your sparring. How was it? I know you sparred with Roy Jones and James Toney, my brother Vinny Paz. Tell us some of your sparring experiences, if you don't mind.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, my favorite sparring partner was Vinny Paz, and the reason being because Vinny did not spar. Vinny fought, and if you went to spar Vinny, you were going to fight him. And you're going to fight. And if he could knock you out, you were going out. Like he would throw that same overhand right that he knocked out Melvin Paul with. Is the same one he threw at me 100 times and tried to kill me with. And I knew, because I'm like, I'm not a big puncher, but I'm like that. I like to spar for real. And the first time I ever went to spar Vinny was August of 1991. He was getting ready to fight Ron Amundsen for the USBA title at junior middleweight. And we went, and I don't even know if Vinny knew who I was at the time. I'm not sure. But we sparred 6 rounds, and it was really good rounds. And at one point, after one of the rounds, like right at the end of the round, like the last 10 seconds, we were going at it. It was war. It was all out. And when the bell rang, at the same exact time, we both stopped dead. And we just looked at each other for about 3 seconds, really hard, like we wanted to keep fighting. And then we both slapped our gloves against each other, like hard, right? Like at the same exact moment. And when it was over, he was like, man, can you come back tomorrow? Can you come back tomorrow? And, I live like 2 hours away. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. And from then on, we sparred for years, did plenty of rounds. And he said, that was the moment he knew he wanted to spar with me because we thought the same, but he definitely took it to a different level. He was trying to win sparring, and I appreciated that.
You're still sparring now, aren't you?
New York too, man.
Yeah,
I go to New York, I hope Vinny's there. Is Vinny going to be there, bro?
Vinny's a funny guy.
He tends to show up.
He is.
He'll show up, and
he pulls no shows.
He's certainly invited. If he's going to get up that early, I don't know. I don't know about that.
I texted him last week. It was the 40th anniversary of his pro debut. And I shot him a text, and he got me back. He's like, "Wow." It was like, kind of mind blowing, reality 40 years ago. Because, Vinny still thinks he's 30 years old. He's
right. He still acts like he's 30. Yeah.
Crazy stuff. How about guys like James Toney, man? Was James Toney an exceptional fighter? You think James Toney and Artur Beterbiev, how would that fight have gone, man?
Yeah, James would have to be on top of his game.
Yeah, he would.
James couldn't do the way he fought Prince Charles Williams. James would lay on the ropes with a lot of guys. And he would know that. Like you can't do that with Artur because for 2 reasons. One, Artur's a massive puncher, and no matter where he hits you, you're gonna know it. But also, Artur's very smart. He's not a guy just gonna waste punches. James would have to be on top of his game, but James is a beast. At his best, he's going to be a problem. It would be an excellent fight because knowing James, I know James pretty well. I think James would think Artur's just a puncher. I don't think he would respect Artur as much before the fight as he would during it. I think he would realize during the fight that Artur knew what he was doing, and he would have to step his game up. Roy at light heavyweight. Roy was smart, and I'll tell you why. Roy didn't bang with people that he knew would outgun him. He didn't do it to be, he wouldn't do that in order to impress people. You know what I mean? He boxed the way he had to win. Winning was first and foremost. I think he would know if he was going to beat Artur, it was going to have to be the most boring fight in history of light heavyweight division. He would not be in there with Artur. He wouldn't bang with Artur. Obviously those two guys are huge obstacles, but like I say, Artur is an extremely underrated boxer, an underrated mentality, an underrated mind. And, his power, obviously, and pressure is second to none at this point. So those would be tough fights for everybody involved.
Hey, so, you talked about a lot of these guys that are going to be there, and Iran Barkley's going to be there. And I'm bringing him up because I just watched the fight last week. Tomorrow is the 35th anniversary.
George, you're giving away my community page, brother. That's the head. I've already got it made out. I put that on every day.
Hearns Barkley won. Yesterday. It's 35, and I just literally last week, it just popped up, and I watched the fight, and I can't believe it's 35 years since Iran knocked out Tommy. And I remember watching that fight. I was a teenager. And I'm thinking he's gonna wear Barkley down. He's gonna cut him up and stop him, probably on cuts. And after 2 rounds, it looked like that. Yeah, man, Tommy just had a thing with round 3s, man. Marvin Hagler, 3rd round, and Iran. What a night for him 35 years ago.
Yeah, no, and he, James Toney told me at one point in 1993 when I was sparring with James, he told me that Iran was the hardest puncher he had fought to that day.
Wow.
Yeah. And I know guys who spar with Iran, and obviously, he's a huge puncher, concussive power. But James was, Iran was it's funny, he was a better boxer, I think, than he gets credit for. Especially like in the Duran fight, I thought Iran boxed extremely well. He had skills, but with Tommy, he couldn't get past that jab. He had to land the bomb. But one thing about Iran, he's hard to deter. You're not going to just frustrate him and make him quit. Like if he misses, he misses. But he's throwing.
But Hearns in that fight, everyone knows about his jab and his right hand. But he was destroying Barkley's body those first 2 rounds. Like I never saw him go to the body.
I tell Iran all the time. I always say, because me and Iran are good friends, right? And I always tell Iran, man, Tommy was hitting you with some stuff, man. And you know what he said? He goes, I didn't feel anything. He goes, I was in such good shape. I'm saying, come on, man. Tommy was hitting you with left hooks. I think precision-wise, technique-wise, execution, I think Tommy had certainly one of the top 3, if not the best, left hooks to the body I've ever seen. Tommy was a beast. And Iran swears he didn't feel it at all.
And there's a little bit of trivia. Iran took the middleweight title from Tommy Hearns, and he took the light heavyweight title from Tommy Hearns.
Yep, 100%.
What a career for Iran.
Let me shout out to Nick M's Classic Boxing, who just stopped in. I see Andre Southgate is in here, Mrs. Justu, Andrew Charles. Iceman's been here, man. Hey, thank you, cats, for coming in, man. I'm blessed to have George Jackovic, my old co-host from way back, and Iceman John Scully, man, a cat that I've been following since the early 2000s, and he just amazes me. He's a true guardian, a true keeper of the flame in boxing. From the historical shit that I love to hear, from what's going on today, and he's making sure there's going to be a place for these guys tomorrow. And man, it warms my heart to have you in here, Iceman.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm honored, honestly. Thank you.
Hey, Iceman, let me ask you something real quick. I know we're running short on time, but I was looking at your Facebook page, and Bruce, I don't know if you saw this, but is this a joke? Are you going to be in a movie? Because I'm looking at your Facebook page right now, and it says, still shot with actor Tommy Fury and Iceman John Scully from untitled feature film for Tubi Studios, due out later this year. And it looks like there's a crew there shooting with you.
Oh,
Are
yeah.
you?
Yeah, no, we just filmed that 2 nights ago. Now I'm not like an actor. I'm in the movie. I'm playing like a mafia guy. I'm in a mafia restaurant, and there's a scene where I guess he's like the Godfather, and he's dealing with this girl, and I'm sitting with another mob guy right next to them, and we're kind of eavesdropping on their conversation. And so yeah, I was in that. We just filmed that a couple nights ago. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Bruce, Iceman's a fighter, trainer, philanthropist, actor. He's a commentator.
I'm so humbled over here, man. And man, what can we say? What can we say?
I want to give a shout out. I've even been in a rap video, a boxing theme. I don't know if you know who R.A. the Rugged Man is.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. R.A.'s my boy. I've been in 2 of his videos. If you look up the video for the People's Champ,
I'm going to pull that up. So.
Artur's a big boxing. R.A.'s a big boxing guy. He loves boxing. So he had me in. It's a boxing themed video. I play his trainer. You can see me in the corner. I'm real theatrical. He told me to really jazz it up. So I'm yelling at him in the corner, and he's acting like he's real tired. And yeah, so I was in 2 videos with him, but that one was a boxing themed video.
So there you go, Bruce. He's even been in hip hop videos too. So put that on the resume.
I inadequacy over here, bro. I feel like I shouldn't be doing the interviewing over here. I'm truly honored. You know what I'd like to do? I'd like to just name you some fighters. Just give me a quick response to like a Joe Frazier.
I said it when the anniversary came of the March 8, 1971. On that night, that to me was one of the greatest performances, top 10 of all time. Top 10 of all time. Joe Frazier beating Muhammad Ali. He was a demon that night. He was not going to be that. Ali was not beating him that night. And people forget, like he won. Joe Frazier, not Muhammad Ali. And Ali's my guy, believe me. But Joe Frazier won the biggest fight in the history of the world. Period.
That's a fact.
For sure. How about Sugar Ray Leonard?
If I used to go into fights, when I fought Tim Littles on the Holyfield Bowl card, I was the semifinal fight before Holyfield and Bowl fought the first fight. And I kept thinking with Tim was a great fighter. And I said, I got to get him late. I got to, like Sugar Ray, when he beat Hearns, he turned it on late in the fight and he just overwhelmed him. And I know it's funny, but I trained the whole fight, the whole training camp, with that mentality. And when the time came and I tried to do it like Ray, and I'm in the middle of the fight, and I'm thinking to myself, Ray Leonard is special because this is really hard to dig down when you need it that deep. Some people can't reach that deep, and Ray had an endless reach. I mean, when he needed it, he was going to get it.
Damn. Andre, thank you for the kind words out there, bro. I do this. It's a labor of love, man. Bro, and I'm having an orgasm right now. So that's how it's going on. How about the marvelous one, bro? Brockton, Massachusetts. Marvelous Marvin Hagler.
I used to mentally. I knew a lot about Marvin because I knew guys that sparred with him, and they told me stories. And I had been in the gym with Robbie Sims and Hagler at Hagler's gym, and I used to go in Hagler's dressing room by myself just to soak in the atmosphere, the aura of his room, And I would think to myself, and I fought in the Ohio State Fair, big one of the biggest tournaments in the country, 1987, and I thought to myself, what would Marvin Hagler do in these fights? And I said, I'm going to take whatever they give me. I'm going to swallow it like he did against Tommy Hearns. I'm going to walk through whatever they give me, and I'm going to just take it from them. And the first fight of all gyms, I fight a kid from the Crunk whose nickname was Dynamite. He was literally 6'2", tall, skinny, long right hand, literally like everybody in the gym is built like
Darren Allen?
No. I fought Darren in the Olympic trials, but this was in the Ohio State Fair. But I remember thinking, it's New England against Kronk. It's us against them. It's like the war all over again. And I went there and I was thinking of Marvin the whole time. And I ended up stopping the guy and I beat him and I ended up winning the whole tournament with Marvin in my mind. Yep.
Mind blowing. And one more, man. How about the late great Salvador Sanchez?
Yeah. You know, a lot of people don't know that's Roy Jones' favorite fighter.
Yeah.
If you ask Roy Jones, he'll tell you my favorite fighter. You know, just to be so technically gifted and sound at 23 years of age is unbelievable. It's you know, and things happen. It's life is messed up sometimes. I mean, you know, you could have been talking about the greatest fighter of all time. You know, 23 years old, and he had all those guys to fight over the next few years, and he could have moved up to 130 with Camacho and those guys. You know, we missed out on something. You know, that's one of the great tragedies of our game is that man didn't get to fulfill it, or at least let us see what would have happened.
Yeah, you know, one of the things is the longer you've been around this sport, the longer we see some of these legends. We see the candles go out, and you know, and you feel everyone. We just had the anniversary of the death of Ali a couple of days ago,
right?
And you know, I cried like I cried for my mother and my father when Ali died. It was it's tough, but let me close it. Let me close it with this, John. Fights coming up, bro. We got Teofimo Lopez and we got Josh Taylor this weekend. What's going to happen in that fight?
Boy, you know, I would normally, I might have picked Teofimo, right? But in his last fight, he didn't look so good, and something happened after the fight that surprised me. And I don't know if you saw this. I don't know if you know this happened, but they caught it on the microphone.
I know where you're going.
In the ring, and he said, I think he said, "Do I still have it?"
That's what he said.
Right. Okay. Now, you know, he thought he lost. I mean, he thought he lost that fight. And he not only did he think he'd lose, but he thought he lost everything. Like, who am I? Am I still Teofimo? Now, you know, since then he's gonna, you know, I take moments like that more than I would take what he said at a press conference the other day, because he's prepared and he's mentally. Those are the moments when the real thoughts come out. And
right.
You know, and you know, Josh Taylor's good. You know, this kid's obviously good. If I had to bet $10 just based on that, the reality hits you, I would bet on Josh.
Okay, yeah, you don't know which Teo is going to show up. Josh Taylor's been out 16 months,
right?
You know, and he didn't look good in his last fight. But Teo, and I'm not trying to step on your toes, Iceman, but Teofimo, you're right. He acted like that after the fight. Since then, he's talked about going through a divorce. He's having problems with Top Rank. He said he wants to kill Taylor. I just, who knows where his mind is.
Right. Yeah, you know, and like I say, no matter what you say or whatever, your in the ring actions, you know, the truth comes out. And like I said, he didn't know that the audio was going to catch him saying that. You know what I mean? So if we didn't hear it and somebody said it, he'd go, "Oh, I didn't say that." He'd lie. He'd say he didn't say it, but he did say it. And he meant it. You can clearly tell he meant it when he said it. He may change his mind now, but he meant it when he said it. You know, so he obviously wasn't feeling confident. And, you know, when fight night comes, sometimes those thoughts come creeping back, and at the wrong time. You know, so like I said, if there's a time for Josh to get him, it's now.
Yeah.
You know, if I was Josh, this is the moment I'd want.
What a Monday night, Bruce. Well, what a Monday night.
I know, man. I've had you here for an hour now, but just one last question, bro. One last question.
Yeah.
The biggest fight coming down the road, bro. The biggest fight coming down the road. Bud Crawford and Errol Spence. What's going to happen that night, bro?
Well, let me say this. I don't care what happens in that fight. They waited too long. They did the Mayweather Pacquiao thing. The guy's like 35 years old, maybe 36 by now. I don't know. I lost interest, to be honest.
Really? Wow.
The younger kid, Spence, I don't know him personally, but he's obviously there's some issues there. He had the car accident. We know why he had the car accident. I don't know if he's conquered that problem or not, but this is not the opportune time. The fight should have been a couple years ago, the same way Pacquiao and Mayweather should have been 5 years before it happened. You know what I mean? So in my mind, you reach a certain point where you're just the physical body. You're just fighting the fight. But this is not the best of both guys, mentally or physically. So I don't care, because I always remember, people always talk about their era and the old school, but there's nobody on earth that can deny this. Sugar Ray Leonard and Tommy Hearns were 21 and 24 years of age when they fought each other. Tommy was a beast when Ray fought him. Ray fought Duran twice, Benitez, and Tommy within an 18-month span, I think it was. And these guys waited 5 years to give us this fight because they want to argue over multi-millions of dollars. They're already multi-millionaires, and they're arguing over who gets more. Ray and Tommy jumped at the chance to fight each other after Ray fought Duran twice and Benitez. So I'm not with the current era. This is not my era. This is not my mentality. And I didn't make the big money and all that stuff, but I fought whoever. Whoever they asked me to fight, I fought. Michael Nunn, Henry Maskey, Tim Littles, whoever. But these guys, it's an insult at a certain point. Like I trained Scotty Pemberton when he fought Jeff Lacey, made $100,000, his biggest payday to date. He took the fight because it was for the big money, $100,000, which is tax money to these guys and what they're making. He took it because he wanted to buy his family a house, his wife and daughter. That's the only reason he took the fight. He wanted to make it. He made less than $10,000 to fight Omar Shika in Fight of the Year 2 years in a row on ESPN. It was the Fight of the Year. The first one was just as good as Gaddy Ward, and he made $10,000 for it. And these guys are over here arguing over who gets 10% more out of 40 million or whatever it is. So I'm not interested to a certain degree. I'm not interested in even the fight. People that would argue over that kind of stuff when you got these guys over here killing each other for $10,000 because they want to beat somebody in the game, and you guys are disrespecting all of that. I understand it, but a guy, and I think one of them said this, but if they didn't, other people have said this. They say, hey, I've got to feed my family. Are you kidding me? You make millions of dollars. If you have trouble feeding your family, it's because you're a moron with money management. You can feed your family and their families for the next 100 years with the money you have. Don't tell me you're trying to feed your family. Scott Pemberton was trying to feed his family.
Strong,
you know what I mean?
Strong words from a strong man, Bruce.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, I see the fighters of the 80s and of the 90s, and it's some of these guys who put on some of the greatest fights that you could imagine. You go back on YouTube, you look at these fights, and you're like, shit, look at these animals in the ring. This is some of these guys are broke today.
And let me say, somebody was talking to me the other day with a great fight. I said it's not going to be Leonard and Hagler the first fight. Leonard and Hearns the first fight. It's not going to be Pryor and Arguello. It's not going to be Gaddy and Ward. These guys aren't going to give that kind of fight. And I'm not blaming them, but I'm just saying, don't think Spence and Crawford is going to be Arguello Pryor, because it's not. I'll tell you right now, if that's what you're expecting, save your money, because it's not going to be balls to the wall, all out death war. It's not going to be that kind of fight. It may be a good fight, but the mentality is clearly different. You can clearly hear it in every fighter today who talks about being a rapper and managing a singing group, and they're all they're all entrepreneurs and businessmen, which is fine, but some guys are just fighters, and I think they deserve the money a little bit more than people who are arguing over who gets 18,000 and who gets 16. I mean, come on, man.
It's definitely mind blowing the money that's being dished out these days. I come from that old era too, and I don't know how you can, because you're into this new era right now. You are part of it. You're part of Team Beterbiev. Don't you sometimes have to bite your tongue? Seeing
Sometimes,
the fighters,
yeah. Well, I've never, not really, but never at all. I've never gotten into the business of boxing. I'll be honest, and you won't believe me. You're not gonna believe what I'm about to tell you, but I promise you, on my life, this is the truth. I don't know how much Artur Beterbiev has made in any of his fights. I have no idea.
I respect that.
About it. I've never read about it. I've never asked him. I've never, out of curiosity, I've never asked his manager or his head trainer. It's never come up in conversation. When they have the articles, when the articles start talking about finances and cable networks and stuff, I don't even read it. I'm not interested. They pay me what, I'm fine with what they pay me. And, that's it. But I'm not interested in the business of boxing. And I think on the one hand, I understand fighters want to be protected and, they only have a certain amount of years in the game, and I get it. But you still have to be a fighter at the core, at the heart of it. Like I say, Ray and Tommy, they fought each other at a time when nobody wanted to fight them because they knew they were going to get smashed. But they put it all on the line. Tommy was 21 years old when he put his record on the line against Ray.
Unbelievable, man. I was a 23-year-old myself at the time. I watched that fight. It was more than a fight. It was an event. The whole world stopped to watch that
100%,
fight.
100%.
And that's not going to happen with this fight. Are there any fighters you see out there today who fit into that era, who have that, besides Beterbiev, who have that mental and the physical edge?
And it sounds funny coming from me, but Artur's the one. When he got cut against Marcus Brown on the forehead, he didn't even mention it in the corner. It never came up. Even in the last fight in England, he never said a word. He didn't. Any fighter on earth is going to go ask his trainer, "How's it look? Is it bad? I got blood in my eye." Artur didn't care. It didn't come across. He was focused on what he had to do. It was just an obstacle. Where we have guys now, they're trying to, what round is it? Maybe if we say we can't see, maybe they'll stop the fight and it'll be a win on a disqualification, or they try to find the angle. Artur doesn't do that. So I don't know. I don't know who we have, because I hear young guys out of the amateurs being indoctrinated into the mentality of guys today, where they talk about being an entrepreneur and I'm only going to box 5 years and I'm going to get out with my health and I'm going to open a business and, all this kind of stuff. And, like you remember Tony Ayala, right?
Yeah.
I don't respect Tony as a man whatsoever, obviously.
Wasted talent.
Right. But listen, Tony Ayala was a beast. You know what I mean? Like he wanted.
Remember when Mario Maldonado knocked him down?
Right. He got him. Remember he knocked the guy out? I think it was Epps, and he spit on him. He was a legit killer. One thing I hate, I really hate, is when two guys spend 3 months trashing each other. They're gonna kill each other, and then after the fight, they hug each other, and they're in the middle of the ring complimenting each other and wishing each other all the best. Tony Allen hated you. He hated you before the fight,
after the fight, during the fight,
and he hates you till he died. He still hated you, and
he couldn't turn it off. Artur can turn it off.
He was a vicious thug in and out of the ring, but I respect him in the ring because he hated you. He hated you, and he didn't fake it. And when the fight was over, he still hated you. And
one of my regrets was no Duran and Ayala fight. That was going to be that was what the collision was set for. And then things didn't work out according to plan. But the comeback in Duran against the up and coming El Torito Ayala. That was going to be the Davey Moore and Duran fight, but
look, maybe it's better for Roberto that didn't happen. Maybe fate just kind of helped him a little bit.
That's another anniversary too. Davey Moore passed away the same day Ali did. I just found that out the other day.
Yeah, 1988.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible way it happened too.
Yeah. Hey, Iceman, you did me a real honor having. Anything you want to say before we close this?
Listen, man. I'll be honest. I'm still at the point where I'm just happy that you wanted me on the show. I appreciate it.
Hey, don't say that. Don't say that, man. You'll be on every night.
You put a quiz on Twitter.
When I was a kid,
remember that quiz you put on Twitter?
When I was a kid watching boxing, I used to dream about like being in a magazine and being interviewed, and I thought it'd be amazing, to be interviewed like these other guys get interviewed. So you interviewing me, believe me, it's just as cool for me as it is for you. Trust me, I'm happy with it.
Well, you remember the trivia question you put in Twitter the other day? It was the amateur who beat Roy Jones.
Yeah,
and it ended up being it was Frankie Lyles.
Right.
And I got it right, but I didn't have it off the top of my head. I looked at those names and I went into Box Rec real quick and I made sure. And then and when I was there, I got subbed to by a couple of heavy names in there. The editor-in-chief of Ring. I can't think of him right now. And
Dougie Fisher.
Doug Fisher?
No, yeah, Dougie Fisher followed me, and he's got a guy who's got about 30,000 followers, following 500. And it's just an honor to be in that group. But we OGs, we stick around together, and honored to have you on here, bro. I'm not gonna forget you. I'm gonna hook up with you. Maybe have a drink in New York. I haven't drank in 23 years, but hey, I'll be smoking on my.
Let me just say one thing, just so you know. I've never had an alcoholic drink in my life.
Yep, I know that.
And I'm not going to start with you. It's not happening.
Bro, I said,
we can have a milkshake. Can
we have a Pepsi?
Yeah. No, I don't drink soda either.
Come on, do it. That's hardcore for you. We could do it.
Milkshake, chocolate.
I haven't had. I only drink water, and I haven't had an alcoholic beverage since 2001.
Nice, so, good for you. Well, let's get a chocolate milkshake.
Well, Iceman, before we let you go, can you just give the info again about the big gathering, when it is and where it is?
Okay, so June 24th, right in Times Square, basically 7th Avenue and 43rd Street. Times Square, where the ball drops, but you'll know. Just ask where's the orange bleachers.
What time are you guys? What time is it starting?
I'm gonna get there about 12 noon on the 24th, and I expect by 2 o'clock it should be rolling. Everybody should be heavy in action.
That's gonna be a special day.
Yeah, man. Yes, sir.
Hey, brother. Thank you so much for coming by, man.
Anytime. I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
All right, Iceman.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
You too.
All right, man. How cool was that, man? Iceman John Scully. I got my brother George Jackovic, man. I knew it would take a special treat to get George up here. And
you know what about Iceman though? Like he means everything he says. Everything he is excited to talk to you. He loves talking boxing, and he's genuine. He's one of those genuine guys. Yeah, and what he does for fighters. How can you not love that? Especially guys like you and I, who we hate the business of boxing, but we love the fighters. And you got a guy like Scully who really, really helps fellow fighters.
He does, man. He does, and just meeting him was an honor. Interviewing him was an honor, and hey. Almost as much of an honor as hanging out with my brother George Jackovic over here.
Oh man, hey, I'm never gonna tell you to stop giving compliments because it feels good coming from you, Bruce.
So George, what have you been doing lately, bro? You've been involved in the boxing world, man?
Yeah, I've been producing a lot with Pro Box TV, which is a new entity in boxing. There's an app. It's a Pro Box TV. They're streaming. They're on YouTube, and they have two nights a week on Wednesdays. They do live fights, but they're also doing podcasts and talk shows with Paulie Malignaggi and Chris Algieri. They do it in Spanish. Juan Manuel Marquez does those. So I'm involved with them, and I love it, man. It's boxing. So it's a channel completely dedicated to boxing, unlike anything out there. So you know me. I mean, if I can make a living in boxing, that's like heaven. So
you walk out the door and there's a couple of bums fighting in the alley, and it's made your morning, you know.
Yeah, so I can't complain.
Me either, man. Me either. You know what I can complain about? I lost my lighter. I've been real good. I didn't want to smoke in front of the Iceman.
Now, last time I was on, you stopped smoking. You said it was something with your lungs.
Well, yeah, I did. And I have my Green Dragon tincture, the stuff that I make. I have a little bottle. I made a batch today, but I have to keep my mouth shut for 30 seconds. And I went to broadcasting school way back in 1974, a place called Graham Junior College in Boston, Mass. And I used to do an all-night jazz show, and I learned from this guy named Donald Otto. He's a legend in radio, and he told me, "You don't want dead air." He says, "You want to keep the show going. The worst thing in the world in the industry of broadcasting is dead air. You go dead air, you might as well go da-da, and bang, you're out the door."
Right.
So, you know, it was instilled in me, and when I do the tincture, it's a sublingual absorption, so I have to keep my mouth shut for 30 seconds. And I can't do that. But seeing as I had you here, I could have done it. But out of respect for everybody, I'm trying to keep it real.
Yeah. Well, this is a Monday. What a great Monday night, man. I'm glad I was available, and I mean, trust me, I love talking to you. You know, we've talked about everything with no guests. So just to be able to come and talk some boxing with you, and especially having Scully.
Well, you know, Scully was so cool. Like I said, I went on his Twitter page. You know, we've been friends on Twitter for a little bit, and he had a trivia question, and I answered it, and you got it, and a lot of other heavy names in boxing are following him, Mike McNary, and you know. I'm bad with names when I'm behind a microphone. As soon as I go off, I'll say, "Oh, I mean every one of those names." But anyway,
right.
I sent him a private Twitter, and I said, "Hey John, would you be interested in coming on my YouTube channel and talking about boxing?" And he got right back to me. And you know, when I say something like this, it's usually I throw the line out there, and then maybe next week, maybe the week after. He said, How about tomorrow? And I'm like, shit, yeah. I mean, this is YouTube. You know, it's so easy to just boom, set it up and go live, and it's what I love doing. And he was nice enough to come out here and give us a great show, man. He instilled every time I listened to him. The first time I went on, like I said, with Black Star way back in the early years, he was on there, and I didn't even know who he was, but he just was talking what I wanted to hear, and it hasn't changed a bit, and just a fun show over here.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like I said, this is a great Monday night.
Let me shout out Big Say So that came in, man. I sorry I neglected the chat because I had the information from George and from Iceman going, man, and I didn't want to interrupt that flow. So my brother Big Say So is out here, man. 151 Yankee Kyle. Thank you for coming by. If you guys are still here. Punchy, I appreciate it, man. Andre, man, always a pleasure, man. Thank you for that compliment once again. Mick Smith, Peter Von Ox, man. Thank you, cats, for being here. Get my boys in the background to the break is over. Back on stage and keep it rolling here. George, you doing anything on YouTube anymore?
Oh yeah. I've still got I tried once a month to get the one round with George in. I have another one. I started another one, and it's I've only done 2 shows. I don't even know if I can call them shows. They're only about 2 minutes long, but the title of the show is "Oh Shit Moments in Boxing," and it's literally just fights that you saw. We've all had them. Like you're watching a fight, even if you don't curse, and something happens, and you say, "Oh shit." Something crazy happens, like Barkley knocking out Tommy Hearns. And you should watch it because, Bruce, the first one I did, I've only done 2 shows. The first one I did was when Mike McCallum knocked out Donald Curry with that just monster hook and just stretched him out on the canvas.
I will for sure, bro. I will for sure.
So yeah, I love YouTube and I love the outlet and I love being creative, and it's boxing, man. This is what we do.
There's this thing that's been going on. It's on like a Thursday night, and it's out of Mohegan Sun and Foxwood, and it's called the Team Combat League.
Yes, I haven't seen it. It sounds kind of interesting because it is a team. It's like two guys fight, and then two more guys come in, and right, it's like that.
Yep, there are maybe 18 one-round fights, and it's a point system, and it's city teams. Like they have Ken Goosen's got the LA team, they have the Washington Bullets, or whatever their names are. Hasim Rockman Jr. is in it. The dude Craig Hardy, who beat Hasim Rockman in a legitimate fight a few months back, he got knocked out cold the other night, and it was an oh shit moment because he was the bad boy. He was going in there and knocking out most of the heavyweights.
Right.
And it was one of those oh shit moments. But it's an interesting concept.
It is.
3-minute rounds, and then you get out, and then another two guys get in there for a 3-minute round. I know a couple of the participants. I stay in touch with them, and they're paid salary. It's like active sparring. They kind of love it because it doesn't go on their record, and it keeps them sharp. And it's kind of cool. I think the casinos must love it because a lot of live bets can go on between the rounds, and they can bet on the different cities. So it's definitely something interesting. And they're putting their gloves on, and it's hey, I'm digging on being knowing some of these cats and having them on the shows. And my brother Skywalker has got him on his show. He's involved with it a little bit. So once again, man, we love boxing. We stay on top of fighting, and we see what it is, man. And
we'll see if it catches on. I haven't watched it yet, but I did read up on it, and it definitely sounds interesting. Man, this is like the old days. We're coming up on an hour and a half, and
oh man, yeah.
You know, it was funny, Bruce. We spent like 20 minutes with Scully saying, "All right, man, we're gonna let you go, but just one more thing, because you want to keep talking to him. He's like the kind of guy you could talk to all night. Freddie Roach is like that. There's a lot of guys in boxing like that you just want to. You don't even want to go anywhere with them. You just want to sit down and talk and just have fun, because this is fun.
Bro, I didn't plan any questions. I didn't do any research. I mean, I knew John Scully. I knew where he came from. I knew what he's doing. Just had to drop a few things out there that ring bells with him. And man, he's off to the races, and he's sincere. And man, nothing but love for I felt the spirit of boxing in here tonight, bro. I really did.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun, Bruce.
Hey, George, thank you, my brother.
No. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Peace, man.
All right, my friend.
My buddy George Jackovic out there, man. Jay Gibson, thank you for coming by, brother. Ponche, appreciate you in here. James Gype, how you doing, my man? Always love your channel, bro. You sit there and you get everybody subs, and I appreciate it, man. I'm trying to gain more myself, but hey, whatever happens, and I'm gonna cut on out of here. We just talked to the Iceman John Scully, and I'm gonna leave it with my theme song by my brother 150, Bruce Gas, Boxing, Jazz, and more. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Gas, aka Toka 2. I had to drop a track for my boy. Where you at? Yeah, been here wrestling boys out here telling favors. I'm the hardest young nigga, I ain't signed to no label. Hey, Bruce Gas putting them fights on the table. Calling that Boston since Kane versus Abel. Smoking so much gas, you would think that shit was fatal. On the people's champion like Muhammad Ali. Shout out Bruce Gas, one day we gon' meet. Yeah, we gon' blow it down, we gon' smoke hella weed. Yeah, we gon' blow it down, take a hit out the Toka too. Slipping hella shots, feel like Tyson with the Pikachu. Little Glock on my side, but it hit just like Isaac Cruz. Shout out man, Chad, real shit, that's my fucking dude. We always cooking on the panel. Strapped to my side, I ain't talking about no sandals. Bruce passed me the blunt, I'ma light it like a candle. Ayy, non-stop bars, man, I always spit flames. Feel like Bruce Gas always got a different strain. Bitch, you ain't like me, you can never feel my pain. You win and you lose, well, this a fight game. Don't beef on the net and the shit won't change. Said that on the stream, gotta do it for the game. Said that on the stream, gotta do it for the chat. I ain't undisputed. Yeah, hold on, I ain't undisputed, but I want all the straps.